Hello, I am Rob, and this is Jixi AI Studio. Jixi is a tool that I created. It's an AI infrastructure that helps game developers quickly and easily add AI functionality to their games and applications. So to show it off, I thought it'd be fun to create from scratch an AI NPC character that we could use in one of our games. It'll show off a lot of the main features of the tool and show how easy it is to use. So jumping right in, we have our overview page, which is what you see right when you log in. And this is a lot of the analytics that Jixi captures automatically. Things like total spend, what AI models we've used, breakdowns of spending and response times, just to make sure that the system is running as expected. The next page is our AI files page, and this is our drag and drop RAG system. It's kind of like Dropbox, except every file is automatically processed for use with AI, and actions that we make can pull information from here to help the AI understand things like world information or character information. It can handle really an unlimited amount of information. The actions is where you can create the actual functionality, write the code, and determine the AI logic that's returned. Save data is for saving and retrieving more long-term data. Every Jixi app is backed by a MongoDB database, and this is where we can interact with that. And finally, API keys to make sure that the whole system is secure. So let's jump right in and create an action for this NPC character. I've created one here, and this is just the default that's created when you hit new action. We can test it by calling this URL at the top that was generated for us. And this is actually Jixi's own development SDK. It combines the analytics and the files and all of the external AI tools into one very easy to use JavaScript SDK that makes manipulating these AI calls very, very fast. We can also test it directly by hitting this test button. And this is our own test environment. So we can quickly edit prompts and test against them and have the whole thing be immediately available to live games on this URL. So right now the prompt says hello. Hitting run, you'll see that the response is hi there. Not bad. Not exactly an NPC. And you'll also see that the response is answer and then the hi there. And that is because I've defined it here. Now this is validated JSON data, which is the first cool feature of Jixi, that you can define exactly how you want this object returned. And this helps us go beyond normal text in, text out AI generation. We can use this for actual in-game content if we want. It's very cool. For example, I have an action here called NPC generator that has a pretty complicated response with name, age, and a bunch of magic spells with spells and damage. And the prompt just says, create an NPC character for my game. Now running this, you'll see that the return is in that exact format. We have our name, we have our age, and a list of magical spells. So that's a cool way of going beyond just normal text in, text out. But going back to our NPC character, the first thing I'm going to do is add what's called a system role. Right now it thinks it's a helpful AI assistant. And that is not very good for what we want. Let's say you are not an assistant. You are an NPC character for my game, having a conversation with a player. Let's leave the prompt as hello and see if we get a different result depending on that prompt. Much more NPC-esque. Greetings, traveler. It's not bad, but now let's add some more information that this NPC is going to have access to. Let's add some world information. I could keep adding things to the role or perhaps the prompt, but it's much cleaner to add it to our AI files here. Now, if I had a world document, I could drag it in, a Word doc or something like that, or I can create a file directly in the editor here. And this is really nice for quick pieces of information that you want to add. I'll call it world info. And I'll say, we are in the world of AI-topia. So I've created the file, it's automatically processed, and our AI actions now have access to this information. If instead of hello, I say hello, where are we? You'll see that it says AItopia. It's pulled in the correct information from our world data, and it used it to create the response. Not bad. A really powerful feature of the AI files is the ability to make folders, which doesn't just organize information, but we can actually query into specific folders to limit what information the action has access to. So I'm going to create a folder called level 1 and create a folder called level 2. And in level 1, I'm going to create another file. I'll call it level 1 info. And I'll say that the way out is through the woods. And in level 2, I'll create a file, call it level 2 info. And for this one, I'll say the way out is over the bridge. So let's say I'm talking to my NPC, and I'm asking, hello, where do I go? Depending on the level of the game, I want the NPC to answer in a different way. I can do this by adding what folders I want this AI action to search. Right now I'm typing it in directly. I can also pass it in to the API call to this URL. That way it can be more dynamic, it can pass straight from the game. But with level 1 listed, and I say, where do I go? The NPC will say, head through the woods. And once I graduate to level 2, and I ask the same thing, where do I go? It will say, towards the bridge and cross it. Perfect. Down here, you'll see a mark as good result or bad result. And this is a very handy feature for kind of labeling AI responses as you're testing and even as the game is live. So this was a great response. So I marked it as a good result. Now over in the confidence tab, this is where that list is stored of good results and bad results. I can click in to one of them and I can see the raw input and output. And this is really helpful. I can take all of the good results and export them. And if I want to fine tune an AI model, I can do it using good data. And I can export all of the bad results and send it off back to prompt engineers or QA people or whoever I have on my team. We can go beyond text even. And Jixi supports voice to text, speech to text. So instead of returning this AI generated result directly, I'm going to store it as a variable. And then I'm going to call text to speech and pass in that AI, it's actually the dot answer from our response, into what I want to make into a text to speech. And I'll return that audio clip. So now not only does it use AI to generate the response, it'll actually generate an audio file using text-to-speech as well.
You need to head over the bridge to find the way out.
Very nice. And I can manage all of the text-to-speech and information up here in Manage. I can choose what voice and hook up 11 labs. And I can choose what AI model we're using and what kind of response length that we're looking for. So very cool feature, but for now, I'm going to leave it as just working with text directly. Because I want to talk about the final cool feature, I think, of Jixi, and that is a dynamic cache system. What I noticed was players ask the AI the same or very similar prompts again and again and again. And I didn't want to waste time and money regenerating responses to the same prompt again and again. What I wanted to do was cache the prompts in the result and store them somewhere. And if a player asks a very similar prompt, not use AI to generate it, but to grab from the cache directly. And that would save a lot of time through generation and a lot of money. So let's set up a cache system by clicking New Cache. I'll call it My Cache. I'll give it a cache size, how many of the most frequent responses to store. I'll say 100. And how similar prompts need to be in order to use a cached result. So starting with a similarity of 1, if player 1 asks, how do you bake bread? And then player 2 asks, how do you bake bread? Well, that's an exact match. It'll use the cached result. But I can actually decrease the similarity threshold. So if player 1 asks, how do you bake bread? And player 2 asks, what's the process of baking bread? That'll be similar enough that it'll also use the cache result. I can go as far down as I want. The lower similarity means more cached results are going to be used, which means it's going to be faster and cheaper, but less accurate. And the higher means we require the prompts to be a little bit more similar. So I'll say 0.8. It'll generate the cache, and it's already up and running. So with this cache created, I can pass it in under cache with the ID. I think it was called My Cache. I'll rerun this, asking where to go. It'll say, head over the bridge. Not bad. In the cache tab, you'll see that we now have one cached result. The prompt was, hello, where do I go? I can click into it and I can see the response that will be returned. In fact, I can even edit it. Maybe instead of a period, I want it to be an exclamation point. Now, if player 2 or some other player in my game asks the same prompt, hello, where do I go? I don't know. I'm not sure if you even saw, because it was so fast, how fast it grabbed from that cache. So because the prompt is right now an exact match, it found it in the cache and returned that cache result. And because our similarity threshold is at 0.8, if the prompt says, hello, where do I go? Maybe, hi, where do I go? Something very similar. You'll see that it also grabbed the cache result. Going over here, we have the one cached result, and we can see the prompts that led to this cached result being used. One was, hi, where do I go? Which was 83% similar, and the rest were 100% similar. And if it's less than 80% similar, like if I ask something completely different, hi, what's your favorite color? It won't use the cached, and it'll generate the response using AI. It'll add it to the cache because we still have 100 slots open. And now if another player asks, what's your favorite color? It'll use this result. It's a very, very cool system. It works automatically to kind of reduce generation time and money. That is it. That is the basics of Jixi. It's very powerful. There's a lot of things you can do with it. We didn't talk about saving data, but it's a really fast way of adding very powerful AI to games and apps. And yeah, I had a lot of fun building it. Definitely learned a lot about the AI process. So hope you all find it useful and would love to talk about it. Had a lot of fun building it. So thank you very much.